Hello everyone and welcome back to Pandaria. So this is going to be my follow-up video from the one that I did a few months back on the Retribution Talents. And first off, I want to apologize for it taking so long for me to actually follow up that video with this one. It took me quite a while to actually level my paladin, and I wasn't doing it really hardcore or anything. I was just kind of doing it casually while playing StarCraft and doing all sorts of StarCraft casting, if you guys have been following me on that. But anyway, I do actually have some updates for all of you. The first is that the Clemency spell is actually no longer what it was in the previous build. The previous one had it being pretty much a preparation type ability to use on your hand spells. Now the new version reads, you can use Hand of Freedom, Hand of Protection, Hand of Sacrifice, and Hand of Salvation twice each before incurring their cooldowns. So this is actually really cool. This will probably be the best talent that we currently have for PvP. It's really quite simple, really. You see how you've got a counter that says 2 over each of your hand spells, Hand of Sacrifice, Hand of Freedom, and you can basically use each of them twice before you incur the cooldown. Now the cooldown is actually the same as it would be normally. It's just that now you have you can actually use it twice. Now if you'll notice, when you use Hand of Protection, you still have that forbearance. You can't actually use it twice on yourself, but you can use it once on yourself and once on an ally, for example. The other thing is too is that when you use these spells, the cooldowns are basically activated individually. So if I was to use Hand of Freedom, say once, there's a 25-second recharge timer before that second charge actually comes up. So you basically get 2 of the same hand spells each time, which is a huge improvement over the last one, which is the basically 5-minute preparation. Now this new Clemency actually works out very well. The second thing is that Selfless Healer now stacks up to stacks 3 times as opposed to the 2 times that it was in the previous build. It's actually just been reduced quite a bit from before. I actually don't really have a problem with that because Selfless Healer in its old iteration was actually a little too good. But now I want to show you what you guys have been waiting for. I want to show you some of our new talents, and I chose this nice area out here in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms to actually demonstrate some of these abilities. These are all level 90 mobs, and the first one that I want to demonstrate to you is my personal favorite, Execution Sentence. It looks really, really cool. You see how they have this enormous hammer that comes down and it actually deals damage directly on top of them. It's got a 1-minute cooldown on it, and as you can see, it does quite a bit of damage on top of that. It's not going to kill anything directly by itself, but it will, do a little bit of damage, or a little bit of healing also, depending on how you want to use it. It does have that 1-minute cooldown, and you can use it on both an enemy or an ally. If you use it on an ally, it heals. If you use it on an enemy, it does damage, obviously. It reads that it does 72,704 holy damage over 10 seconds, culminating in a final burst of damage. So the initial dot on it actually doesn't do all that much, but it does do that, as you saw, that nice big burst at the end, and that burst obviously can crit. So this is a very nice 1-minute cooldown burst damage type spell. I've also used it in PvP quite a few times just to complement my other self-healing abilities. The healing by itself on it is not all that substantial, but when you combine that with things like Selfless Healer, or even if you were to take the other talent, Sacred Shield, it definitely could be a pretty useful spell to be used under those circumstances. So now that the cooldown has been refreshed, I'm going to use it on myself. Again, you see this nice hammer that goes over me, and it gives me a nice proc rate. About 5k. So that was actually a nice 10k heal spell in there, and then it culminates in about a 32,000 healing spell. So real nice spell for Ret if you want to use it for defensive or offensive purposes. And the capacity to be used defensively or offensively is one of the nice things about the ability. Our next ability is a new thing called Light's Hammer. This is probably going to be the spell of choice for Prot for sure, and for Red it does have some really nice some nice utility to it. Basically, it is a targeted consecration ability, which is something that Red has asked for quite a while, and it has an awesome graphic. Check this out. How cool is that? It's a big hammer that you drop right on the floor, and it serves a dual purpose. It deals damage, but it also heals at the exact same time. So if you notice, I'm actually being healed, and these big Shao Chen antiquities can't really hurt me. And the damage also does that AoE ability to everything that's actually standing in the circle. That damage is of course holy damage, so it does actually benefit also from our from Inquisition, which now also has a 10% critical strike chance bonus on top of the 30% holy damage that it also grants. So it does grant additional bonus damage from Inquisition. It doesn't. I don't know if it scales all that well. It says that it does 8,000 holy damage to enemies within the area, which is obviously quite low, but it is a constant pulsing damage type ability, so it does hurt everything in it. Somebody pointed out that this ability is actually really useful for knocking rogues out of stealth, and considering that Ret no longer has Consecration baseline, the ability is quite useful for that. Our final ability is probably the least interesting of the bunch, but it is definitely one that is could be potentially quite useful if it's, if depending on how you want to use it. It is basically a 20-second holy shock that Ret has access to also. So it can be used first of all for a healing spell as a 20-second cooldown. Alright, I should probably mention what it's actually called first. It's called Holy Prism. It doesn't have any sort of cool animation like the others do. It's just basically a holy shock with numbers that come up on it. It does have that 20-second cooldown, and it does cost mana, and it doesn't generate holy power either. But so it is basically a nice filler spell in our rotation, and it is another range attack that Ret has access to, combined with all of our other ones. So I was going to use it quickly here in conjunction. Here's Holy Prism. You can see it does damage like that, about as much damage as Exorcism does, and a little bit more damage than Judgment does. So it does obviously scale with Inquisition. So I'm going to get a nice little charge of Inquisition up here, and then I'm going to blast this dude again with the ability. So you can see it does like up to a good amount of damage just with that Holy Prism ability. So those are our 3 talents, but I wanted to take a moment real quick just to show you what I think is probably the coolest addition. I know that you guys have probably already seen this too, but the coolest addition too is what they've done with Holy Avenger. They've given Holy Avenger a unique animation. Now I have a trinket equipped with it, so it doesn't actually make you glow red. That's just the trinket doing that. But what it does do is it gives you that Ashbringer graphic, which I think is so cool. So I have Holy Avenger. That Judgment gives me 3 charges of holy power, and then I can just hit this guy over and over again with my Ashbringer for the duration of the ability. So those are the talent changes that have been introduced since my last video. I understand this video is obviously quite short compared to my others, but I was only really highlighting those 3 spells.